everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I'm going to do a team showcase versus the Abbyssolossus. Let's start off with my wild team. Today's video is sponsored by Dragonheir Silent Gods, my favorite sponsor because it's my favorite game that I've played in a long time. Be sure to join us for Season 3, Dive Deep, Battle Peak. There's a ton of new heroes, new bosses, and lots to explore. Be sure to download via Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, or Epic Games if you haven't already, and use the currently working promo codes. So currently we are here in the Otherworld exploration versus the Abbyssolossus. This is before the boss reaches 50% and the skills change. So I just want to be clear, this is before the 50%. I did very well with this team, and I'm really excited to be able to show it off again. I had a lot of fun with it, and it's been interesting testing it because I had some big surprises, which I mentioned in another video. I will have a video, I think, coming out after, or actually it might be before. Around this time, I have a video coming for the tips and tricks versus the Abbyssolossus, or mistakes to avoid, more so. Mistakes to avoid, things you're probably doing wrong. And yeah, this is gonna have a lot to do with my team here that I'm gonna show you. So let's dive into it and do my first battle of the day versus the Abbyssolossus. Really cool boss though, the amazing graphics as always. All right. So let's go in here. I'm going to use my wild team. So this team, we're going to talk about the basics. Now, if you don't have Cinderella, you can use Garius. You're going to see as the only healer. My burn team has Garius as the only healer and support. Also, if you don't have Flora, use someone else as well. Ideally, you know, like Felicity. Or even Casper even, or something interesting. Maybe even a Rosh. He's surprising damage as well. But this team, I am going to use Flora. I do not have her exclusive, however. Also, just a quick note. Instead of Thea, if you have Casper, he's a really good legendary for this team to get 200 million. So I will give a shout that this team did 171 million when I last ran it. And I've seen other people do the same team, but with Casper instead of what's her name? Thea, the wild one. Instead of Thea, the wild one, Casper can really pump up your damage. But I really think I could hit 200 million with this team if I had more of the necessary gear. Now, what I mean by that is these lovely gloves, Precise Carnage Gauntlets. These are so good. The wearer deals 35% increased damage to enemies with defense penalty. So ideally, if I had crit damage gloves instead of crit rate, I could boost everyone's damage. I don't even have a pair to put on Tunnelnon. I do have one on Flora that is a flat attack, but at least has one enlightenment roll. Ideally, if this was an attack percent with a triple or quad enlightenment roll, we'd be even better. Yeah, I have none for Thea, none for Tunnelnon though. That's it. I have one stupid crit glove. That's it. One. And I don't have any that are crit damage. So that could really bump my damage up. And I see how people are hitting 200 million with this team, all things considered. So all things considered, I'm going to showcase this. This is not meant to be a guide on how to do this budget friendly. This is just me showcasing my team and how it works. And you guys can plug and play your heroes as it comes. But this is based around a Flora team, which has a little bit of a different mechanic. So I do have Flora with the fan, Ravatrix Roots, which were free on Tunnelnon. We have the pipe organ on Cinderella. Thea is going to be my witch's remains, and then I do have a wild exclusive artifact on Erich. And you're going to see we are an Emperor set. So there's a bit of a misconception going out there that you cannot use Emperor versus this boss. Those people are wrong. You can. We've tested this. I even show it in a video. Again, I don't know if I'm posting this video before or after, So stay tuned. If not, it's not out yet. My mistakes to avoid versus the Abbyssolossus. But people are acting like you can't use Emperor. You can if you have attack penalty. So if the attack penalty is up very well, or at least at the most important moments when you need it, and you have very strong Emperor gear, use it. Any team with Cinderella as the as the support can absolutely use Emperor gear. I did more damage, and each hit I was able to prove does more damage than with, like, you could actually see that the set's working, I should say. You do have to have more attack than your enemy. And when you have the attack penalty debuff, that's 50% lower attack on the enemy, or for the enemy, so it does make a really big difference. So I did better with this than I did with Ariel. Ariel is the other option if you don't have attack penalty in your team. Like, if you had this team but you don't have Cinderella and you use Garius instead, you're going to want to go with an Ariel set instead. Do not use Emperor if you don't have attack penalty. So the wearer gains an additional 4 attack for every 1 crit damage they have. That's kind of a helpful set as well. So that's kind of how we have people here. I will quickly show their builds so if you guys want to see. We have Erich, Flora as our main DPS. And keep in mind with Flora, everything is about her ultimate. She needs to place her vortex, that everyone else needs to proc wild after she does that. So it's less about Flora's actual hit, more about what happens afterward. And then we have Thea as our Witch's Remains. She's here as a rare, very easy to build. She has a triple hitter on her ultimate. I'm not overly concerned with her attack up she's placing on herself because I have her as the Witch's Remains candidate, so we're kind of ignoring her buff. And overall, Tanonan, she is, of course, a great damage dealer, especially in Ravatrix Roots now. And I am going to care about the buff she puts on herself, so I will show you that with the timings. So, on to my timings. So, I do have Cinderella, the healer, at full YOLO, so he could just heal whatever the hell it happens, and it's been fine. As long as you don't die or no one dies, if you have one person die a little early and you just need a tiny bit more defense, just do that. But really, I didn't worry about timing him. It was just fine without timings. So that was really, really helpful to not have to worry about that. But other than that, let's go into the reasons everybody is at where they're at. So 30-second rotation for the boss, right? 30-second rotation. I'm not going to go deep into the boss's skills. That's going to be a whole nother video talking about like tips and tricks. Well, not tips and tricks, kind of a boss guide. But really, we have certain things we need to counteract, right? And you don't really need to counteract a lot of the things that we seem to. But here's the deal. At 30 seconds, the boss uses a skill, but it doesn't actually proc until 30.6 seconds for the energy reduction. So, with this in mind, we know that Flora can go right before this, and so can Thea and Erich, to be fair. But Erich is not really going to go until after. So Flora is going to use her Vortex. Thea is going to go right after and start proccing her hit. She's going to start hitting, and she will proc the defense penalty for everyone else to go. And it will add to Flora's damage from her Wild Vortex. Erich is going to go, and then after that point, it's cleansed. You no longer have the damage reduction buff that the boss puts on themselves because they use their skill at 30. But Erich doesn't actually hit till right afterward. So Erich is at 29.5, but his hits are going to come after. And then Tanonan is going to go after Erich. So you kind of want Erich to go before Tanonan to start stacking up Tanonan's extra crit. But because Tanonan has a buff with her skill to buff herself, you have to go at 30.3, or between 30.3 and 30.5. So keep that in mind. If someone has a buff that you want to actually use or to buff the whole team as a DPS, 30.3 is good to go. But you do not need to put up a buffer at 30.5. and wait until after the boss's ultimate for everyone to go. You don't need to do that. It's going to kind of progress in this way because it's split seconds from them starting their ultimate are what really matter for the other skills, and this fragility will be up at the end. So you're going to have no trouble hitting the boss while under fragility when you use these timings. So that's the big key right there. So here is our team. Easy peasy. Now, because the boss does this one skill with the, what is it called? The Seed of Rust poison. It's like a spreadable AoE type damage like burn. So you want to space out your heroes and not have them next to each other, ideally to mitigate your damage. So we have them spread out, that's why. And there I have the 2 melee people at the front and the ranged people are just spread out in the back. Flora is in the fan, so she needs to be as far away from the boss as possible. So the back row is important for her. And we do have Flora's attack aura. So I do have the timing set. Let's let this play. And I will show what's happening here. So let me go back to 2 times speed. And you're going to see Flora's going to go first once we get there. Once we get all the way to the boss's ultimate. Let's let that go. So Flora's going to do her Nexus right now, or her Vortex. Then Thea's going to proc, and there's defense penalty. Erich went, then Tunnenon went afterward, which is all perfect, exactly what we need. Now, keep in mind, whoever you want to do your best damage, like for my case, besides Flora, I think Erich is actually a little bit better of a DPS than Tunnenon. It's kind of close, though. The first DPS is going to have the least amount of these stacks of damage reduction. The one who goes after is going to have more, because it's every time someone uses a skill. So, like, Flora went... Thea, boom, no stack right now, none at all. So Tunnenon and Erich just went when there was no stack at all of this solidity, right? That's really cool to see. Like, timing was just perfect for that one. Just perfect. And that's kind of why I have the timings the way I do, because they're actually, when the boss uses its skill exactly at 30 seconds, it gets rid of these solidity buffs and then starts a new stack. So you could time everyone to kind of stagger it slightly around the ultimate, but you want to use your skills before 30.5, because at 30.6 is when the boss does the ultimate energy reduction. And if you just use your ultimates, who cares if he reduces them? Alright, that was 175 million damage at the end there. Pretty impressive, right? Again, I really think this could be a 200 mil team if I just had a little bit better gear. I am highly lacking in crit damage gloves. I think one hero had crit damage gloves. I just do not have the best gear overall, but it is what it is. I'm happy with what I've gotten so far, though. At least out of this team. The rest of the teams are another story. It's been a huge headache. I wish we had more time. I wish we only had to do one new team per day. This could be a 1-week thing where we add on one more team each day. Then at 6 or 7 days, the boss goes to the 50% difficulty type change. It doesn't have to be at 50% damage. I really wish that was the case, but it's not. But anyway, all right, guys. This has been my wild team versus the Abbyssolossus. Hope you guys enjoyed checking this out, and I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to download via Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, or Epic Games if you haven't already. And thanks again to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring today's video.